The difference between rich and broke is rarely about intelligence, luck, or opportunity. It is about mindset. Two people can grow up in the same environment, earn the same income, and face the same challenges, yet end up with completely different financial outcomes. The reason lies not in circumstances, but in how those circumstances are interpreted and acted upon. A broke mindset focuses on survival. A rich mindset focuses on leverage. This difference shapes every financial decision, often without conscious awareness. It determines how money is earned, spent, saved, and multiplied over time. People with a broke mindset tend to see money as something scarce and fragile. They believe there is never enough, and because of that belief, they make decisions driven by fear. Fear of losing money, fear of missing out, fear of falling behind. This fear creates short-term thinking and reactive behavior. In contrast, people with a rich mindset view money as a tool. They see it as something that can be directed, grown, and strategically deployed. Their decisions are guided less by fear and more by intention. They ask not how to protect money at all costs, but how to make money work harder. One of the most critical differences is how time is perceived. Broke thinking prioritizes immediate relief. Rich thinking prioritizes long-term outcomes. When money is tight, the temptation to seek quick fixes becomes strong. Spending to feel better now outweighs planning for later. This pattern repeats until it becomes habitual. A rich mindset delays gratification not out of deprivation, but out of clarity. Short-term discomfort is accepted in service of long-term control. This creates momentum that compounds quietly over years. Another key difference lies in responsibility. Broke thinking externalizes blame. When money problems arise, the cause is placed on the economy, the employer, the system, or bad luck. This protects self-esteem but removes agency. If the problem is external, the solution must also come from outside. Rich thinking internalizes responsibility. This does not mean self-blame, but self-ownership. Financial outcomes are seen as feedback, not punishment. Mistakes are analyzed rather than avoided. Responsibility creates power because it allows for adjustment. The way risk is understood also separates rich and broke mindsets. Broke thinking sees risk as danger. Any uncertainty is something to avoid. This leads to inaction and missed opportunities. The safest choice feels like doing nothing, even when stagnation carries its own risks. Rich thinking understands that risk is unavoidable, but manageable. The question is not whether risk exists, but whether it is calculated. Educated risk is distinguished from reckless behavior. Learning reduces uncertainty, and strategy replaces guesswork. Education itself is approached differently. Broke thinking often treats learning as a one-time event. School is seen as the place where education happens, and once it ends, growth slows. Financial topics are avoided because they feel intimidating or boring. A rich mindset treats learning as a lifelong responsibility. Skills, systems, and financial literacy are continuously refined. Money is studied not emotionally, but analytically. Curiosity replaces avoidance. Income is another area where mindset divergence is clear. Broke thinking focuses primarily on earning more money. The solution to financial stress is believed to be a higher paycheck. While income matters, this focus often ignores structure. Rich thinking focuses on how income is used. Cash flow, allocation, and scalability take precedence. Increasing income without changing behavior rarely leads to wealth. Structure determines sustainability. Spending behavior reflects identity. Broke thinking often uses spending to signal success or relieve stress. Purchases are emotional. Money becomes a coping mechanism. This creates cycles of regret and justification. Rich thinking uses spending intentionally. Money is exchanged for value, not validation.
Emotional needs are addressed separately from financial decisions. This separation protects long-term goals. Another subtle but powerful difference is language. Broke-thinking language is limiting. Phrases like, "I can't afford it," end the conversation. They reinforce helplessness and shut down problem-solving. Rich mindset language is expansive. Instead of saying something is impossible, the question becomes how it might be possible. Language opens options rather than closing them. Social influence also plays a role. Broke thinking often conforms to the norms of its environment. If financial stress is normalized, poor decisions feel acceptable. Comparison leads to pressure, and pressure leads to spending. Rich thinking is selective about influence. Decisions are aligned with personal values rather than social approval. Financial independence requires psychological independence. Perhaps the most important difference is how setbacks are interpreted. Broke thinking views failure as evidence of inability. A bad outcome confirms a negative self-image. Motivation decreases. Rich thinking views failure as data. What went wrong is examined without emotional attachment. Adjustments are made. Persistence replaces discouragement. Over time, these differences compound. Small daily choices guided by mindset create vastly different trajectories. Wealth is not built through dramatic moments, but through consistent alignment between thinking and action. The rich mindset is not about greed or superiority. It is about clarity, ownership, and patience. It understands that money reflects behavior, not worth. Control replaces chaos. The broke mindset is not a moral failing. It is often learned through environment, stress, and lack of exposure, but it can be unlearned. Awareness is the first step. Changing financial outcomes requires changing internal frameworks. Without a mindset shift, new strategies collapse under old patterns. With the right mindset, even modest resources can grow. The difference between rich and broke begins long before money is involved. It begins in perception, and perception, once changed, changes everything.